Welcome back to the second half of Tutorial 5 on filtering data. I have Cash Receipts January open, and I will begin by clicking on the Filter button at the top of the segment column. Here I can filter the data to show only the food category. I'll select All, and then select Food, and then OK. Now the filter is applied. If I want to show only the Saturday food receipts, I can click on the filter at the top of the Day column, remove the check marks by selecting All, and then select simply Saturday, and then OK. Here you can see all 5 Saturday transactions. To clear filters and show all records, I'll click on the Day filter and go down to Clear Filter. I'll do the same with Segment. Click on the filter and then Clear Filter. I can select multiple filter items by clicking on the Segment filter and unchecking Gifts and Food. Now when I click OK, only coffee and specialty drinks will be shown. I can also filter data based on specific criteria. I'll click on the Amount filter button and go down to Number filters. Here I'd like all values greater than $300. So I'll click on Greater Than and then enter 300 and click OK. To sort largest to smallest, I'll click on the filter and then click on Sort Largest to Smallest. Now my largest values are at the top. I can clear all filters and go back to displaying all data by going to the Data tab, and in the Sort and Filter group, click on Clear. Another way to filter an Excel table is with slicers. On the ribbon, I'll select Table Tools Design tab and click on Insert Slicer. I'll select week number and then click OK. The slicer appears with all slicer buttons selected. I'll drag it to the top of the table and make sure the Slicer Tools Option tab appears. In the size group, I'll enter 2.2 for the height, hit Enter, and then for the width, I'll enter 1 inch. In the Slicer Styles group, I'll click the More arrow and choose Slicer Style Dark 2. It's now consistent with the table colors. Now I can filter to show only week 1 and 5 by clicking on week 1, holding down the Control key and clicking on week 5. To clear this filter, click the Clear Filter button in the top right-hand corner. A total row can be added to the bottom of the table by clicking anywhere in the table, clicking on the Design tab, and checking the Total Row box. Now the sum of the values in the Amount column appear. When I click on B126 and then click the down arrow button, I can choose from a variety of functions. I'll choose the Count function, and Excel will count the number of entries in the table. Now when I use the slicer to filter weeks 2, 3, 4, and 5, I can see at the end of the table the total and the count changes to the weeks filtered. I can split the window to display this total by pressing on Control Home, clicking on 2 cells above the last row in the window, and going to the View tab and clicking on the Split button. Now I can scroll down to view the total at the bottom of the screen. Now if I change a receipt amount, the total will change. I'll use the Find feature to find the 128 receipt for coffee and change that amount from 144.60 to 244.60. I'll hit Enter and you'll notice the total amount increases by $100. To remove the split panes, I'll go back to the View tab and click on the Split button. I'll also remove the total row by going to the Design tab and unchecking the total row. Lastly, I'll clear the Slicer filter. To calculate subtotals for each transaction date, I must convert the table back into a range of data. First, I'll sort on transaction date by clicking on the Filter button and going to Sort Oldest to Newest. Then, on the Design tab, I'll click on the Convert to Range button, and then I'll hit Yes. The data is now back to a range, and you'll notice the filter buttons are removed. Now, click on the Data tab and click the Subtotal button in the Outline group. I'd like there to be a subtotal at each change in transaction date, and I'd like to sum up the amounts for each day. Make sure that Summary below the data is checked to show that subtotal, and then I'll click OK. Now you'll notice the subtotal appears under the January 1st transaction by summing up the amounts for that day. If I click on Level 2, only the subtotals are showing. The Show Detail button will show the transaction detail for that day. Level 1 is the grand total, and Level 3 shows all the data. To remove subtotals, go to the Data tab and click the Subtotal button. Click on Remove All. This concludes this video tutorial on filtering table data. Filtering data helps to make informed decisions based on a specific set of data.